Okay, guys, good evening, YouTube. Welcome to episode 11 of FPL Family. Have you come down from the ceiling yet? That's the most stressed I've seen you so far this season.
I think that's the most stressed I've been at a football match for a very long time.
Quite a stressful game this afternoon.
I did not enjoy it. I literally didn't enjoy any of it.
I thought Spurs were fantastic for up until Arsenal got the first goal and got back into it. Spurs were very, very good.
No, I didn't enjoy any of it.
I don't know.
What is it about the North London derby? Why can't either side defend during it? You'd have taken.
We've had a busy week, haven't we? And after that, after the week we've had, being on a holiday and away and travel disruptions and stuff, which we won't bore you with, guys, you could have done with just like a 0-0 or just a 1-0 Spurs win would have been fine, right?
Yeah, I could have just dealt with less stress, less franticness. I just felt very uncomfortable the whole game. My leg was twitching. I think I threw a pillow.
Yeah, what was that? You had this stressy leg thing going on.
I threw a cushion at Lee at one point.
Yes, the children almost got chucked out the window. It was serious, wasn't it?
I threatened you with divorce at one point.
I think I happened to mention that Kane was a spent force, guys. I think I said that Kane shouldn't go to the Euros and they should take Ashley Barnes. I think the death stare came out. The death stare came out.
Why have you said that again?
Once again, guys, good evening. Welcome to FPL Family. My name is Lee. This is Sam. For those of you that haven't joined us before, welcome. And thank you for joining us. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button and don't forget the little notify bell as well. We are here every single Sunday at 8 p.m. reviewing all the game week action. Everything on this stream we're going to be talking about is game week 4. And again, we'll come to our scores a bit later on in the live stream. We'll be talking about obviously our teams and how we got on. I'm certainly considering hitting the wildcard button over the international break. My finger is getting very itchy. It's hovering over the button, and I feel like I need a certain Belgian in my midfield. He's really hurting me right now, Kevin De Bruyne, not having him.
El Capitano.
Yes, and it's been an up and down. I don't know how you guys feel. Get in the live chat, guys. Tell us how you feel so far about your FPL seasons. Mine has been literally up and down, up and down. It was game week 1 good, game week 2 terrible, game week 3 really good, game week 4 terrible again, absolutely terrible. Whereas you, Sam from FPL Family, have consistently been very, very good indeed. And I tweeted earlier that I think my name, if I tweeted it, maybe I put it on the Slack actually to the patrons. I feel like I should get that wooden spoon trophy engraved.
Do you want it?
Bring it on.
Yeah.
I feel
like... Do you
want
want it now? I mean, this could be the earliest presentation ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early days and it's still early days. But even before the first international break,
next to the windmill.
You are putting it in front of me even before we're on game week 5, which is quite frankly rude, Sam from FPL Family.
The best thing was earlier when you said, what do you think about this potential wildcard team? And I went, that's just my team.
I know, I feel like I'll be playing the wildcard just to catch up with you, not to surpass you.
But you can't catch up if you just pick my team.
I know, but I'm... Oh, God, guys, it's stress. FPL
do you know what it's time for?
Stressing me out.
It's time for Richarlison.
It's bloody not time for Richarlison. Do me a favour. He did play well today, though. He did play well today.
Got a couple of goals today, right?
Very good, guys. Let's say, before we say hello to people, get yourself into the polls, guys. We have some questions courtesy of the Twitter community. So thank you for you guys that have sent us in these questions. Now, my screen is too small, so I need to go to my phone. Which, oh my goodness, here we go. There's so many photos from this week out in Denmark.
It's because we've been in Denmark.
So many photos.
What a lovely country Denmark is, by the way.
Absolutely beautiful.
I went to Denmark.
Absolutely
I recommend
beautiful.
it. It was lovely.
Lovely, really, really good. Question on Twitter from at Neil Ottawa FPL. So thank you, Neil, for this question. Very, very quick and easy poll. He says, will you be activating your wildcard over the international break? Now, the options are yes and no, clearly, but there's also an option that says, I've played it already. So, guys, if you are considering playing your wildcard over the international break in the way that I am, go and answer that question in the poll, courtesy of Neil. Thank you, Neil. Second question comes in from at Louis_FPL. Thank you, Louis, for sending this in. He is saying, best replacement for Laporte. Now, get into the live chat. Tell us what you think if you're a Laporte owner, who you are thinking of bringing in. That is bad news for those that bought him in on their wildcards. I think it looks like a dodgy knee. I think Pepper's come out and said it's not as bad as Sané, but that's not saying much because Sané is like season long, right? I mean, Sané's season could be over. So the fact that Laporte looks like he could be out for some time. So if you're a Laporte owner, bad news.
It's really sad because I really like Laporte.
And I think, do you know what? And I think they said this on Match of the Day last night. I think that is a potential little. If there was no. I think he will recover. He's young enough to recover. But they were talking about the swingometer in terms of City and Liverpool in the title race. They were saying, well, it just puts it a little bit in Liverpool's favour because he's a key player for them, right?
I mean, it's like you losing Alisson, right? It's kind of levelling the playing field a little bit in terms of that loss that you had, I guess.
To a degree. So that's a question from Louis. Thank you, Louis, for the question on Twitter. Next question comes from LeoAnim21. Thank you for the question, Leo. He is saying, watch Tammy Abraham this weekend, and he's watched him in the last couple of weekends play two pretty sloppy defences in Norwich and Sheffield United, so he's back to brace in both. Should we now be considering the Chelsea frontman, the number 9, Tammy Abraham? Two defences which you'd expect Chelsea to score some goals against, there's no doubt about it. Home to Sheffield United, and then I think it was away, wasn't it, at Norwich. But listen, Tammy Abraham, 2 goals in the last 2 game weeks, 4 in the last 2, I should say. Absolutely should be considering him. So if you are considering him, get into the polls. Answer that question for Leo and number 21. And then the last question comes from @FPL_follower, FPL Noob. Thank you for the question. He's looking for a bit of a mid-price midfielder. So he's asked the question between Mount, Tielemans and Iwobi. Who would you go for? Which is a bit of a random 3.
Where's Iwobi come from?
Well, Iwobi played well today. We'll talk about the Everton game a bit later on, but he did play well today.
This mid-price midfield bracket is so funny, isn't it? Because I feel
very
like
fluid.
Yeah,
yes,
I feel like every week, like the Mount bandwagon rolls on. But
he played pretty well. No FPL returns, but played pretty well.
But Tielemans and Iwobi are kind of new names in that frame again.
Tielemans should have got a red. Oh, guys,
Tielemans shouldn't be available for game
We are
week
not
5.
talking about VAR on air because it would just do my head in. But that is a red. That is a red all day long for Tielemans. What is going on? And then he sets up Vardy for the 3rd goal.
I mean, I can't.
Jeepers. Some of the VARs this weekend, bloody awful.
But I think
absolutely awful.
And I said this when I was talking. I think you were out at the time. I was talking to my dad earlier, and I was saying I feel like sometimes the refs are now thinking if they don't know, they don't make the decision on the basis that VAR's going to make it. But then VAR doesn't always make the decision because it just thinks it's not clear and obvious. So then these things get overlooked.
See the Grealish one. The Grealish. So Grealish passes it as the ball's left his foot. He does get a nudge. He's got a defender coming and tackling him. So all right, he goes over. He's not dived.
No,
he's gone over, and he gets booked, and the goal's chalked up. I mean, Villa fans. If you Villa fans are in the live chat, let us know how you felt about that. That was
aggrieved.
Absolutely. That is what you call a clear and obvious error by the referee, and VAR should have overturned it.
And that's what I mean. I think we need a new definition of what clear and obvious means.
Never mind, Sam. We're not talking.
VAR.
Not talking about VAR. I could talk about that all day, guys. And for those of you that are following me on Twitter, I have been talking about it a lot and how I think it's a complete load of tosh so far on Twitter this weekend. So I apologise if I've got on my high horse about VAR.
Sorry, I was hot before we started. I'd made the decision to take my jumper off.
VAR's made you go all cold, cold and shivery, as it does most referees.
We got in late. I was rushing around putting the kids to bed, and I was all hot. And then I've just sat here, and I thought, I'm a bit cold now.
A bit cold. Sorry. All right. Well, let's say hello to a few people. We've got 292 of you in already. So, guys, thank you for joining us here on FPL Family this Sunday evening. Brendan Sewell is here. How are you doing, Brendan? Fast and Bulbous is here. He's saying good Villa VAR decision. Okay, I will bow to your better judgment there, Fast and Bulbous. But I thought it was a bit of a clanger from the referee, I have to say. Martin Sarlin is here. How are you doing, Martin? He's saying evening. Or push that button, Lee. Oh, I'm getting very.
He's gonna push it.
Very, very twitchy. Azzy is in with another super chat. Azzy, good evening. How are you doing? Clear and obvious is the new Brexit means Brexit. Yeah,
that's the best comparison I've heard.
It feels like it. It feels like it. And didn't you say to me earlier today that actually there is a rule now, guys, in the rules of the Premier League, the rules of football that state if a player enters the cabin where the referees sit for VAR in Stockley Park, they will get a red card.
Yeah.
Now, who in their right mind is leaving a game halfway through to get in a cab to go to Stockley Park to knock on the door and say, hold on a minute?
The closest ground is Chelsea, and it's something like, and I'll get this wrong because my geography is terrible, I think it's 13 miles.
13 miles, right.
So somebody's got to decide to walk off the playing field, drive 13 miles to walk into the cabin to get a red card.
And then they'll get a red card.
I mean, why?
There's easier ways to get sent off.
Of all the rules, what is the point of that one? Somebody tell me where that one's come from.
There are easier ways to get sent off, Sam. Just ask Saints fullback Danso. I mean, what's he thinking?
Just don't ask Tielemans because he doesn't know.
James Frankham is in. James, how are you doing? FPL Franco in the house. How are you doing, James? Scott Schrager is here from our Patreon Slack. So, Scott, how are you doing? Lovely to see you. Also, Neil Crastin in. Neil, how are you doing? Good evening, he says. Bryce is in as well. How you doing, Bryce? Joe Finley Badder is here and moderating. Thank you, Joe, for joining us. Lovely start, wasn't it, up at St James's? Lovely start for the Hornets, and then it kind of didn't really go anywhere after that, did it? Bottom of the league, Watford. How you feeling, Joe? It's looking tough. It's looking tough.
Have you noticed that Joe's not been very happy lately?
Oh, it's bad.
There's been a lot of FPL woe from Joe. There's been a lot of Watford woe from Joe. I feel like Joe needs a turn of fortune over international break.
Well, I think Watford needs something. I don't know what it is, but at the minute it looks like a miracle. Captain's pick. The FPL podcast is here. Jeff is in. How are you doing, Jeff? He's saying 44 points and a 550k drop to 950k. Jeff, I feel your pain, Jeff, brother. I feel your pain.
You can join Lee and Josh's club.
Join me in Sulker's wildcard corner.
You and Josh needed a lot of violins this game week, and Jeff can join you in violin corner.
There was a lot of sulking on the Slack, wasn't there, today? There was a lot of sulking.
It was a real. If you had KDB, if you didn't, kind of.
Oh, yeah, and if you captained him. Just leave. I can't deal with you anymore. Frank Verlinden, who is our former Manager of the Month winner, Frank Verlinden, is in. Good evening. How are we doing? Frank. And that is a nice segue, Frank, because we will be announcing who is the August Manager of the Month this month. So
is it me?
It's not you, although to be fair, you are in the mix.
In the
mix.
This is a prime example of how you don't have to have a good game week every game week for Manager of the Month, because I was bottom of that league after game week.
Yes, absolutely. Bottom. Yes, absolutely. But
not even like just off the bottom.
Storming back over the last couple of weeks, and to be fair, you are in the mix. But
yes, the mix.
In the mix, but not there at the top. We will announce who has won the prize at towards the end of the show, and of course, an appearance on next week's FPL Family. So look forward to seeing and hearing who the winner is a bit later on.
Oh, I love those. I love the Manager of the Month chats.
Barry Coleman is here. Trent in for Laporte, if possible, is a must. Yes, like the look of that. Matthew Little is here. He's saying more with just a sad face. Yes, I think he's going to be.
It's going to happen.
I think he's going to be a casualty of my wild card. I think he's going to be a casualty with Dele back. Lo Celso favoured. Yeah, I think he's going to go with Crystal Palace at home next. It's going to be a painful one, but
he's got
to go. He's got to go.
Impact sub. He'll come on.
Josh is here. FPL Selling is here. Josh, in and moderating. How are you doing? Violins for everybody, including me and him and Jeff. He says the violins. Absolutely everybody out.
Josh,
and last but not least, MZ Ludo is here. Double Liverpool defence finally pays off. Yes, the only thing that went for me this game week.
It's only taken till game week 4.
The only thing, thank God, for the mighty Reds and the fact we are top of the league with a 100% record. Otherwise, I would be not feeling great at the moment, guys. Not feeling great.
Even then, Robbo owners have got to be annoyed because he's still got only the 6, whereas Van Dijk got a bonus point. Trent with the... I mean, should we do a Klopp's there? The goal/assist?
Well, as he has super chatted, did you see Klopp's reaction to TAA's chalked goal? Did you see it, Sam? What did you think?
It was hilarious. The Liverpool reactions were hilarious. There was Klopp with the goal.
You see Firmino?
There was Firmino with the awkward.
It's like this is awkward. Absolutely brilliant. I think I'll give you very quick my thoughts on that, guys.
I wish there was a camera in the dressing room.
I don't think there's much in it. I think those two. I don't think there's any love lost between those two. We saw it last year how Mane with 3 assists.
It's competitive. Right? It's healthy competition.
It's healthy competition. It's absolutely fine. It's spilled out publicly a little bit. I think this. I don't think that's the first time that's happened, guys. It's just that it's happened
Bobby's face suggested it.
I think it's happened in the changing rooms a few times, no doubt about it. But it's the first time that Mane has gone over to it. See him having a go at Henderson, saying, "You need to have a word with Salah. He's got to pass it." And to be fair,
Hendo's just like.
To be fair, Salah 100% should have been passing those. Not only for Mane, but there was also one where he could have put Firmino in as well. 100. I know that he wants a goal. I know, but he's got to pass it.
I think as a Liverpool, I agree with everything you've said, but as a Liverpool fan, you can't knock the kid. He wants to score goals and he's trying. But I do think you're right. I think this has been a private... The reaction from Firmino suggests, like, I'm kind of used to this nonsense, but now you lot have seen it as well. Like, here's my look at it.
Joe Finley Baddo is saying, the cracks are beginning to show at Anfield. We will be fighting it out with the Hornets for 19th place come game week 7 or 8, Joe. I'm absolutely sure of it. I
don't know. I think it works the opposite way at Liverpool. It will spur you on because they both want to score.
I think you're right. There's our Twitter on the left-hand side, guys. If you're not following us on Twitter, we'd absolutely love you to do that. We passed the 18k mark earlier this week. So yeah, Twitter's going absolutely fantastically well. And also the Instagram now is up at almost 2,500. So if you're not following us on either Twitter or Instagram, we would absolutely love you to do that. at FPL Family by both of those social media, or indeed the links. Everything is in the description below. As ever, if you want to go and support us on Patreon, we'd love you to do that. Links in the description below. And of course, a bit more about our August Manager of the Month later on. And of course, the September Manager Month is now open. So guys, if you are an existing patron of FPL Family, get over to our Patreon site and check out the code for September's Manager of the Month Mini League. It is there and unlockable if you are in the Manager of the Month $5 tier.
Which means I haven't done it either.
Which means you haven't done it, Sam. Which means, as usual, you are behind. Now,
I'm always behind.
Speaking of behind, Arsenal were 2 behind. Spurs were 2 up in that North London derby. Give me your thoughts then, and I don't want too much emotion. Let's try and keep it...
Oh, I'm calm now. I'm perfectly calm now.
Let's try and keep it nice and a bit balanced.
No, I'm perfectly calm now.
Give us your thoughts on that game, and in particular, if anyone in the live chat is a Kane owner, I want to know what you guys are doing with Harry Kane, because you and I disagree sincerely on what to do with Harry Kane.
Apart from give him a big kiss.
God, goodness me. Guys, if you're a Kane owner in the live chat, get in the comments, tell us what you are doing with Harry Kane, but give us your view on the game.
All right, well, you tell me what you're doing with Sterling, Mr. Blank, and I'll tell you what I'm doing with my 6-point Harry Kane.
God, you are a nightmare when you've had a good game week. An absolute nightmare. Come on, tell me what you're doing. Tell me about the game.
I thought, okay, my honest opinion on the game was that I thought both teams were good going forward, and I thought both teams were absolutely terrible defensively.
Defending was at a doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it.
You know, for me, that it was really the decision to leave Ceballos on the bench was an interesting one. I think from an Arsenal point of view, that was because Torreira has a bit more... I want to say weight, but he's tiny. But you know what I mean? He's a bit more kind of... He's less tricky and...
combative, if that's the right word, style. I to be honest, I thought it was really interesting that he didn't play Ceballos from the beginning. And actually, it wasn't until he came on that actually Arsenal started to look a bit more creative. They had Guendouzi, Torreira and Xhaka.
But I could see why he did that.
It was all about destroying that midfield. There was no creativity or flair. There was just the front three were left to do it on their own, frankly.
Yeah, but I could understand the decision to do that, because I think potentially if you disrupt Spurs' midfield, we've all seen that when Christian Eriksen doesn't play, the Spurs midfield going through into the likes feeding up to Kane and company and all of the others is it's non-existent. So the decision from Arsenal to say, right, well, let's play our sort of more heavy hitting players in the middle was a good strategy. I just think that what we saw when Ceballos came on is a lot more of the Arsenal flair.
As Azzy was saying, he likes Ceballos, his attitude. He came on, he took that shot, he G'd the crowd up.
You could hear it,
Spot on, Azzy, he did. And I noticed in game week 2 when he played, he started him in game week 2. And actually the assist he got for Aubameyang's goal, he was giving it all of that, wasn't he? So he's one of these players... He clearly gets in the zone, doesn't he, Ceballos? And when he looks very, very good when he plays.
Like him.
And I don't know whether Emery maybe doesn't trust him yet in the big games against the likes of Spurs, because he wants that sort of holding the ball, controlling the midfield, and maybe Ceballos is a bit more of a
he wants to go.
flair attacking player.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
But what do you say to Ceballos then, and people that are looking at him at 5.6, maybe 5.7 in the game, going forward into this run of fixtures Arsenal have got, where they are not really playing any big sides for a very long time? Surely he's going to be looking at Ceballos.
Well, I am. I think we
should.
I think he's a real talent. I really liked him, and when he came on today, it was... I think games like the derby, I said in the last couple of streams, anything can happen in a derby game. Of course it can. But you also see the best and the worst in players. And I think in Ceballos today, when he came on, I think there were 2 factors. He really wanted to make a point, I think, because he came on and was immediately in the heart of the action. It was almost like, don't bench me, I'm coming on and I'm going to make a big difference. Yeah. There was no kind of sulking or anything like that from him. I
get the feeling he's a bit... He strikes me so far, and it's early days with him, but he strikes me a little bit like Tielemans was at the back end of last season. Tielemans was all action, brilliant, goals, assists, everything. He was all everywhere because... he needed to get that move. He was trying to prove to everybody that he could make it in the Premier League. And then he got his contract. And all right, I know he did he get a goal this weekend or maybe a couple of assists? He did well this weekend, but could have got sent off. But so far, his season has been reasonably average so far, Tielemans. But at the back end of last season, he was incredible. Now, I wonder whether Ceballos has got that sort of attitude. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I really like him. I think he's really good. I think Arsenal have got... I mean, this hurts me. But I think Arsenal have got 4... really quality striking going forward options there with Aubameyang and Lacazette, who I thought was outstanding today. Pepe, who
what did you make of Pepe?
Has all the makings of being great, but just it didn't quite click for him today. But then
nice assist though.
Yeah, nice assist. It's his first derby. I think the North London derby is always a fiery affair. There's always kind of lots of goals, and I think for him he wanted to be part of it. And so from an FPL point of view, I would take a lot of encouragement from that. He wasn't afraid to put in balls. He wasn't afraid to have a shot on goal. All of that stuff that is great for us as FPL managers, because they will come off. It's just that I think he was unlucky not to get more than he did today. So I really rate them, all four of them, Ceballos, Pepe and Aubameyang and Lacazette. I think they're really excellent.
The only thing I will say about Pepe is he come across, and you guys that have watched him in other leagues can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, look very left-footed, very left-footed.
Came in a lot.
Always wanted to come in. He kind of made it a bit narrow. Aubameyang on that other side also likes to come in, and before you know it, those front three tend to look a bit narrow.
Yeah.
And if you're playing three at the back, which Spurs were doing at times, it tended to just congest it, and none of the three really got any joy.
No.
But if Pepe can stay a bit wider, if Aubameyang can just elongate that pitch a little bit, I do think Pepe is going to be a good option. Now, I did speak in the run up to this week on Twitter talking about how I fancy Pepe in my wild card, given the fact that the fixtures look really good, but I just can't right now. I just can't. The fact that KDB is on such good form, the City fixtures look good. He's a proven asset against Pepe, who, all right, I'd be saving 0.3, but he's got 1 assist so far, and my gut says Pepe is going to be a good option, but
not quite yet.
I just think if I go for Pepe in my wildcard over KDB, I'm just going to be kicking myself on when KDB pops up with a goal again next week. I don't know. It'd be a real risk to take it. But because he's so lowly owned, Pepe, it might just give me a nice boost if he did something.
For me, of all the Arsenal players, I can't believe I've yet to not spoken about Spurs yet in this derby conversation. But for me, of all the Arsenal players today, it was Lacazette that really stood out. He looked excellent.
What a goal
today.
as well, by the way. Well taken.
Yeah, and I was looking at Lacazette thinking, you look really decent as an FPL option. Really decent.
Yeah, agreed. Go on then, give us your view on Spurs and what did you think about Kane and his performance in the game? How do you think he played?
Fine.
Is fine good enough for an 11 million player though?
How many points did Sterling get this game week?
No, let's not go. Look, let's not go down that road. I'm interested to get your views on Kane.
No, genuinely, I think I don't understand this Kane bashing. He's ticking.
Well, the reason I mention it is because on Twitter, a hell of a lot of people are saying Kane's not worth 11 million. He's not getting in the right places. He's dropping far too deep. The penalties papering over the cracks in FPL, frankly, and he's just not worth the money. Now, you've got a different opinion to that. I'm interested in your opinion. So it's not a Kane versus Sterling. Why is Kane a good option for 11 million?
The fixtures are great.
Okay.
Post this Arsenal game, the fixtures are really nice for us. There's a real fixture shift. I think what we've seen from Kane in previous seasons is that it's now that he begins to kind of pick up. His goal scoring racks up quite significantly, usually throughout September. Now, partly that's because he doesn't normally score in August, but we normally see a kind of turn in him as well, kind of at this point of the season. I think what we've seen over the first few game weeks is a lack of consistency from Poch, based on the fact that the transfer window in Europe is still open in terms of who's playing alongside him.
Yeah.
And obviously with some being suspended for the opening 2 games, we haven't seen, until today, the Spurs side that I think is our best. Apart from that Ndombele wasn't there today, this is the first time where I've looked at a team sheet and gone, yes, that is it.
Okay.
And I think what we saw in those first 45 minutes was a really positive Spurs performance where Kane looked really good.
Okay.
Is my opinion.
All right. Okay, that's absolutely fine. I mean, I happen to think there was players around him that played a lot better. I think if you're going to go into the Spurs attack, I think Son looked far better. Son was. I know that the Arsenal defence were giving him the freedom of the pitch, frankly, and I honestly don't know. Was he the one that was fouled for the penalty?
What?
Was Son fouled for the penalty?
I don't know. I was too busy shouting penalty. I didn't pay attention to who won it.
Okay, I can't remember whether it's Son or Lamela. I think it might have been
No, it was
Son.
Lamela.
It was Lamela,
It
okay.
was Lamela.
So even Lamela didn't look too bad today. Son as well. I just think My view is Son is a better use of your 9.5 and he'll save you $1.5 million over Kane. But Kane will get penalties, and yes, I know what you're saying. Often he gets out of August, get into September, and he does a lot better. But I just think it was the guys are saying it's Son that was fouled. Yeah, I don't know what Xhaka was doing. Genuinely never seen.
Who knows what Xhaka
a
was doing?
worse tackle in the penalty area than Xhaka. It's absolutely awful.
But what I don't understand is how it took Xhaka till the 92nd minute to get booked. He was that bad today.
Xhaka was
ridiculous.
Xhaka was.
What do you have to do to get
bad.
Booked in that game?
Yeah, pretty bad. Let's see what you guys are saying about some of the Spurs assets. Josh Gaming is saying Ashley Barnes is a better option than Kane. Barry Coleman is saying Kane definitely out. He comes so deep. The first goal today should have been Kane running in, not Eriksen. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Yes, Son was fouled for the penalty. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Time to quit the game, Ezekiel is saying.
It can't be that bad.
It's not that bad. Ariyaman Sharma, Kane or Aubameyang or Aguero, I guess you could throw into that. Actually, there's all three of them. I think there's a good case for having any of them.
Yeah.
Azzy is saying Spurs good, but I feel they'll share the points around. There's a lot of options now in that Spurs attack. FPL Muppet 76, Kane looks tired. Lucas is saying Son looks greater than Kane. Yeah, so it's that's genuinely the reason why I ask. It wasn't to antagonise you or anything. Genuinely, the feeling in the Twitter community is that Kane is looking well off it. And to be honest, I'd love to see his sort of XG stats and how he actually performed today. I don't think he looked very threatening at all. I can't remember him really working the keeper or getting many shots on target. Of course, he gets the penalty. Probably gets some bonus points as well.
He had one off the post today.
Yeah.
Watching a different game to me.
No, okay. Well, listen, I don't think he's worth the money. Let's go to another game quickly then before we fall out. Let's talk about Southampton.
That's already happened.
Southampton
I phoned
won.
my lawyer at half-time in the game.
Southampton won. Manchester United won. What did you make of this game then? It was an interesting one because I thought Daniel James's goal, was absolutely sensational. The way that Mata overlapped and created the space for James to then pop it in the top corner. And I tweeted something, we talked a little bit before about how players are potentially a bit one-footed with Pepe.
Yeah.
I was tweeting, Daniel James is great, but he's all right foot. As he gets on his left, he can't do anything. But actually, I was proved completely wrong. In the second half, Daniel James was very creative, whipping in all sorts of good balls with his left foot on that side. Now, my challenge with him is, and I know there's a big bandwagon going on Twitter for him right now because he's quite cheap and he's a way into the United attack.
Yeah.
My concern is, where does he play? When Martial comes back, you've got to assume that Martial's going to be in the middle there. Rashford goes out wide left, as we have seen in the previous 3 game weeks. Where does Daniel James fit into that team? Do you think he's a regular starter?
I don't know. And that's my worry with Daniel James, because I'd really like a Man United attacking asset. I do not want a Manchester United defender, but I would really like an attacker. But I don't want to change. Well, I do want to change one of my front three, but not to Rashford, which leaves me with Martial, and he's a little bit too much money to figure out. Whereas Daniel James is at a really nice price point where I think he would slot nicely into my team.
Just that risk of rotation. He strikes me as a bit of an impact sub.
Yeah, but he's a bit of a Mora, I think.
Yeah, but he's a pretty good impact sub. From what we've seen of Daniel James so far, I really like him, by the way. I really like him. I think he's obviously rapid. He's got a hell of a shot on him. I don't think Southampton did a very good job of defending against him. I know that Mata's overlapping run was good, as I mentioned before. Yeah. But Cedric Suarez just dropped off of him. Let James have that space to unleash that right foot. So, for me, it's a no-go on the basis that I'm a bit worried about that rotation, but I can see why people are looking at him. He's a cheap way into that United attack, and he looks like a quality player, there's no doubt about it. Anybody from Southampton catching your eye? It clearly wasn't the fullback Danzo with 2 of the worst yellow cards I've ever seen.
The best thing about that game was when you went, this kid's going to get sent off. And then, well,
he got the yellow early on. I was like, this kid is going to go. There's no doubt about it. He was up against some very tricky players, Mata and Pereira on that side. I just thought this kid is not going to make it through the game. And he got sent off, I think, near enough the hour mark. And it was just a cynical, stupid. He didn't need to make that second tackle. It was rash and it was stupid. What about the centre-halves, though? Vestergaard and Bednarak look particularly good. Vestergaard, I thought that actually those guys would give United a tough challenge at centre-half, and they did. And Vestergaard got up and took his goal very, very well. He also played well in the game, I thought. I mean, I don't know if you'd want to go for him in FPL. I don't know what his price is, maybe 4.5. But as you guys are saying, Sammy Day is saying Vestergaard's got 6 bonus points so far in FPL in 4 game weeks.
Really?
So, 6 bonus points. And of course, now the goal. So, listen, should we be looking at Southampton defence? Let's have a look at their fixtures. Let's see what they look like. Courtesy of Fantasy Football Scouts. Sheffield United away. Bournemouth, then Spurs, Chelsea, Wolves. So the next two look all right, but after that it's tricky, right?
Having watched them live last week, they did not look good defensively. They didn't. And I don't want to buy into a side that I watch and think that they just did not look solid at the back every time Liverpool came at them.
And what about your man Che Adams up front, switching to the attack? Have you still got Che Adams?
No, I got Pukki instead.
You got Pukki, okay. And I'm not sure what to make of Che Adams so far. I just feel like he's not quite adapting to the Premier League yet.
Yeah, I feel like pre-season went really well for him because it was not Premier League speed and not Premier League... it's not the brutalness of the Premier League, for want of a better way of putting it. And I feel like Che Adams had a great pre-season when he was playing against the teams they should win against. Let's put it nicely.
Yeah.
But I don't feel quite that he's into the Premier League properly yet. Okay. But I feel like eventually, when he settles in, he could be a good asset again. And by that point, he'll have dropped 0.3. So
okay, all right. Ones to look out for then, the Saints. But let's talk about Chelsea versus Sheffield United then.
Goodness.
Tammy Abraham with the 2 goals, but I think the youth of that Chelsea team, which I love to see, by the way, guys. I love to see that Chelsea are finally investing in youth, bringing through the likes of Abraham and Mount in particular. I think he's a really nice player. And even Pulisic is pretty young still, right? They've got a lot of young players in there. But that naivety kind of came through a little bit in that Chelsea team. 2-0 up, manage the game, for goodness sake. Don't concede in the first minute of the second half. Come out, switch on, see out the first 20 minutes of that second half, and then you're going to win the game. So I just think they've got a lot of young players. Now, I do think that when Kante's back, I think when Rudiger's back, they're going to be a far better outfit, but particularly Rudiger, because... Kurt Zouma had a difficult game. Christensen dropped, so he doesn't look that great either. They brought in a young player at the back whose name I forget, but Frank is still not really sure what his starting 11 is, and he's not sure about that defence either, I don't think.
Well, I think the issue is that their key defender, Azpilicueta, had a terrible game. And Azpilicueta's the one that's supposed to be kind of the captain, leading the back line, in charge of what's going on. And he just wasn't. And if he's not going to be standing up to be counted in that back four, how can you expect the kids around him to do the same? Zouma is just getting absolutely run off the park every week. It's really hard with Chelsea because going forward, they look much, much better than I thought they were going to be without Hazard. They still got a talent going forward. The kids are doing really well, but the back line, it needs some work, and I don't know what they do about that. And
what do you make of Mason Mount? So that's his 4th consecutive start now for Frank. Clearly trusts him.
I think he's nailed.
Clearly a very, very good player. Young, but very, very good.
Yeah.
Like his composure in the box, like the way he creates space.
Yeah.
Is he going to be an option? If you were wildcarding this week, would you bring him in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would as well. Let's have a look at the Chelsea fixtures.
I feel like with Mount, he and Abraham are the ones to have at Chelsea.
Okay.
It's just whether you want a midfielder or an attacker.
So Chelsea's fixtures look like this. Wolves away, which is not an easy game. Liverpool at home, clearly not easy either. Then Brighton, Southampton, Newcastle. So we might just want to temper that Mason Mount for a couple of weeks before in game week 7 it starts to look a little bit better. But listen, if you want to get on him, then absolutely got no reason not to. I think he looks really, really good. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying. Charlie Pliner, I think you say his surname. Thank you, Charlie, for the comment. Hudson-Odoi is back soon. Yes, Callum Hudson-Odoi, definitely one to keep on the radar, as Andrew Macedo is saying. Yes,
he's Cheek. When's he back?
No, he's a bit more long term. I think he's a bit more long term. But Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think he's going to be a nice pick when he comes back. I think you're absolutely right. Another comment from Charlie: Azpi isn't key anymore. Coming from a Chelsea fan, great captain, but he's old now. Yeah, he did look a little bit off the pace. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I think Reece James for right back, as Charlie has commented again. Yeah, I think when he is fit, absolutely going to be testing Azpilicueta for that right back. I do believe that.
Well, so I think Azpilicueta needs that.
It could be. Could need a bit of a push from a youngster, couldn't he?
Just a bit of competition. It's not, you can play rubbish and still play every week.
Yeah.
Which is basically what's happening.
Aryaman Sharma, Mount played deep and wide with Barkley on the pitch. It was kind of interesting to watch Mount this week. It was one of those weeks. I mean, he's had really, really good first 3 game weeks. So let's not write him off because he's had one. It's not same as Sterling, right? People selling Sterling after a bad game week. He didn't have a bad game. He just didn't get any FPL returns, right? But Nassim Amaria saying avoid Chelsea. Never sure what you're going to get. Yeah, I do agree with you, Nassim.
I really fancy Tammy Abraham though. Am I the only one that thinks that this is a really good option?
Well, I think as we said, as the Twitter question, as we said at the beginning of the stream, he's played Norwich and Sheffield United. Those are teams that you'd expect him to, and expect Chelsea to score against. He's got two in each of those games. So yes, absolutely, Frank can't drop him now, and it feels like he's got the nod over Giroud and clearly over Batshuayi here, who's not featured at all. Just wonder whether that's a bit of a trap coming up against Wolves away next and then Liverpool. Those are two defences, despite what we saw at Everton today. Those are two defences that they might struggle against. They might just struggle against. You feeling Tammy Abraham?
Yeah, I really am.
I'm looking at you thinking, actually, you're...
I'm really on board with the Tammy Abraham thing.
Okay.
I really fancied him pre-season to be the Chelsea striker, and I feel like he had game week 1 where he was decent. He then was dropped for Giroud game week 2. I think because, he'd said, you both go out there, you get a game week each, and then you tell me, I decide after that. Okay. And then since then, it's been Abraham, and he's had 2 in 2. Well, okay. 4 in 2.
All right. Anything to talk about from Sheffield United? Mr. Lundstrom not on the score sheet. Can't do it every week, sadly, for your £4.2 million worth of FPL.
Still 4.2 well spent in my mind.
I do, yes, I totally agree. I think if you've got him, there's no need to panic and sell him. I think he's a midfielder out of position that's playing in a reasonably attacking Sheffield United team.
We should mention Robinson, though, because he's popped up a couple of times now.
Yes, and as Sammy Day is saying, just Robinson with exclamation marks. He's putting another good shift, an assist and a goal this weekend. I think he's going to get at least 2 bonus points, was it? Or maybe just the 1, actually, for Robinson. But yeah, looked great in the Championship last year, and I think has adapted to the Premier League reasonably well. What's his price in FPL? Any ideas?
I don't know. I thought he'd had a price drop, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll have a look.
And let's have a look at the Sheffield United fixtures while you're doing that. Southampton at home, which is obviously a nice game, but then Everton away, Liverpool at home, Watford away, Arsenal at home. So pretty difficult after that Saints game. And actually Saints looking all right actually at the moment as well. So not an easy run for Sheffield United and for Mr. Lundstrom going forward. But
5.3.
5.3, so 2 price drops, as James Parker is saying. 2 price drops for Robinson. Yeah, I think he was reasonably popular, wasn't he, pre-season? And then didn't really hit the ground running, but has maybe found a little bit of form.
I mean, 2, 1, 1, 11. But I think he's looked... I think he's a bit of another one like... Who were we talking about before? We were saying, not really any FPL points, but looks like he's going in the right direction. And I feel like he's not one to get on now, but he's definitely one to just keep your eye on because he's looking decent.
Okay, question from the live chat. We are here. Let's see. Ariyaman Sharma. Sorry, Ariyaman. He's saying, would you fancy Lundstrom against Southampton? Yes or no? We're going to play him?
Yeah, we will.
Doubling up with Dean Henderson?
Probably.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
Don't fancy the Southampton attack that much.
Interesting. Let's move on to Man City versus Brighton now. I think the debate rages on as to which is the best Man City asset to have.
I don't think there's an answer.
And it's starting to become reasonably clear, I think, that maybe 2 is the way to go rather than just 1 in the attack for Man City. They are relentlessly scoring goals at the moment. Even Bernardo Silva dropped to the bench this game week, comes on, scores within 20 seconds, massive smile on his face. So they are clearly playing with a lot of... They're very relaxed. They're playing with a lot of happiness. Pep's got them just playing really
team,
nicely. Looking just sensational. I don't think we need to panic on Sterling. If you guys are selling Sterling, I don't think you need to be panicking there.
Crumbs, it's one game.
But if you haven't got Aguero, should we be looking at Aguero? 12 million in the game, or after the international break, when we assume Jesus is going to be back, do we fall back into that problem of minutes and rotation?
Yeah, is my honest answer to that.
I must admit, I agree with you. I think if I was to get Aguero on my wild card now, I feel like the points are gone. If you were going to have Aguero, you want it in the last 2 game weeks because he's got double figure hauls and happy days. If you had Aguero in game week 3 and 4, well played, absolutely sensational. But to get him in now from game week 5 onwards, when probably Jesus is back, gives you a bit of a problem again, I think.
I think we need to see what the situation with Jesus is over international break. If you're playing your wild card, it's the perfect opportunity to just wait on Aguero and see. Because if Jesus is back, I think we will fall back into that rotational. He's going to play them both this season. It's become quite clear that he wants to play both of them. And for me, and I've said this a few times, even though Aguero's going to score goals if he comes off the bench, or I don't want to spend that amount of money on a player that's not going to play every week. I just feel like if you're going to spend if you're going to have that level of investment in Aguero, you would want him to be playing every week like we saw last season. He was a great option last season because he played every game pretty much. And it was Jesus that was just coming off the bench. But I think for me, there's better ways to spend that money in the Man City attack, i.e. have Sterling.
Okay, well, even you guys in the live chat are quite pretty split on this. So Amwinit is here. Amwinit, good evening. How are you doing?
Hi.
Aguero started 31 games last season. Jesus for Champions League and Cup games, he's saying. But then Bareth Barry, hey Bareth, he's saying Jesus will be back after the break. So, yeah, I'm unsure, guys, to be honest. I'm unsure.
I feel like Pep's made it clear he wants to play them both this year.
I do think it is the year when we're going to see a bit more transition
Sharing.
to Jesus, a bit more of a transition. And of course, with him injured, Aguero is a great pick. And if you bought him in 2 weeks ago, fair play. But to bring him in now for game week 5, I'm not going to say it's a bad pick because he's in form and they've got a fixture against Norwich in game week 5.
It's definitely not a bad pick.
Definitely not a bad pick. Just think that you might be better off and safer going with the likes of Sterling and KDB. A word on KDB,
He's
your captain for this game week, an absolute hero. And I must admit, I watched him on Match of the Day, guys, and it was frightening, absolutely frightening. He is getting forward, but he's staying forward as well. The likes of when Rodri plays and when Fernandinho plays, and I know Fernandinho was kind of makeshift defender this game week with Laporte's injury, but the addition of those players in the middle of the park, they are doing exactly what Busquets used to do for Pep when he was at Barcelona. And the two that were in front of Busquets were Xavi and Iniesta. Now, those two players used to go and wreak havoc, and that is what Kevin De Bruyne is doing. He's playing the Iniesta, the Xavi role. He's breaking through that middle, and he's causing all sorts of carnage with touches in the box and shots on target, and in particular, assists. He's been so creative. As Amonet is saying, a joy to watch. I totally agree with you, Amonet. I love seeing these players in the Premier League. Love seeing players like Kevin De Bruyne. But right now, it's a real concern that I don't have him in FPL.
I feel like KDB is my best decision in FPL this year so far. And I really, really struggled at the beginning of this season with picking him over Sterling, and it was purely a financial thing that made me go that way in the end. And as you all know, we went away this week, and I set my bus team last weekend and was like, I'm happy, I'm leaving it. And I had KDB as captain on the basis that I didn't have Sterling, and I saw... Sorry, Brighton fans, but I just saw this game going that way. I could just see...
And Salah away to Burnley was potentially a tough game.
Yeah,
but it was a tough game, yeah.
And then I woke up Saturday morning and I thought, what are you doing? You can't captain KDB. You've got Salah. What are you doing? Salah away at Burnley. He'll get some points. That's where you should put your captain's armband. And at 11:15, I nearly broke my rule of don't make a change on deadline. And it was only that the little voice in the back of my head was going, you mustn't make changes, that I left it as it was. And
so are you still planning to get Sterling as well?
No,
do you think the double up is on, or how are you feeling about that?
Yes, I do think the double up is on, but how? I'm at the moment, I am not in the Kane goes camp. I just can't get on board with that at all. So for me, it's a real struggle with the Sterling thing. So I'm going to hold with where I am. I know that I'm going to spend every week watching behind the sofa because Sterling is going to score goals, and I make my peace with the fact that Sterling's going to get points in the same way that if you don't have KDB, you make your peace with the fact that he's going to get points every week.
I find it very hard to find that peace, to be honest with you. Very hard to find that
But
peace.
you will after this week because he didn't get anything and Sterling didn't get anything and KDB did. It's the same as I felt in game week 1.
Okay. All right. Azzy, thank you for the super chat. KDB is his second favourite ginger behind Ben Stokes. Absolutely love that comment, Azzy. Sammy Day is saying, who are we going for captain for game week 5? Well, listen, Sammy, we will talk about captains for game week 5 on Twitter, Instagram, and on the build-up to game week 5. We've got 2 weeks
in next week's live stream
to ponder it. 2 weeks to ponder it. So we'll be doing a bit...
I haven't even thought about it.
We'll probably... Should we do another live stream next Sunday where we talk about game week 5
we'll
and how my wildcard's going? Because pretty sure I'm going to be hitting the button. So we'll talk about that in a bit more detail next week. But I think City against Norwich, the way that City are playing and the way that Norwich are defending, Sammy, I think you've got to look at the Blues again, to be honest with you.
Might stay on KDB, to be quite honest.
Could be. Let's talk about Liverpool then. Not sure what's going on between Mane and Salah. We talked about it a bit at the top of the show. I personally don't think that that's too much of an issue there, to be honest. Let's see whether there's any fallout over the international break and as we go into game week 5. Give me your thoughts on the Liverpool performance then. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was your transfer in for this game week, you made what seemed like a very, very sideways move from Robertson to Trent. But as usual, Sam, your transfer has completely paid off. And what a nice fluky goal it was for Trent Alexander-Arnold as well.
I mean, this one, I did quite secretively. I didn't really say anything. As you all remember, on the last stream, I was 100% rolling. 100%. I wasn't making any changes. And then the lovely people at Fantasy Football Fix told me that Robinson was going down in price. And genuinely, I kicked off on Slack, threw my phone across the room, and was like, what am I doing now? Because for me, you cannot have your 7 million premium defender dropping in price. It's just a nightmare. And I was like, I can't let this happen. So I've got to now make a transfer. And I had said for weeks that if I was going to do it, I was going to take him down to Van Dijk. And I was like, but what am I freeing up the money for? Because I can't get to Sterling until I wildcard. So what's the point? I might as well go for the Liverpool defender that's performing the best.
Yeah, okay.
So Trent was.
I think Trent is looking pretty essential right now, guys. I mean, I know the threat of Gomez is there against the bigger teams. I understand that Klopp has got some history with playing Gomez in that spot. But from what we saw of Gomez in the first 3 game weeks and in the Charity Shield and in the Super Cup, hasn't looked at the races so far, Gomez, this season. And Trent, I know defensively can be a bit suspect sometimes, but he gives you so much going forward. He is so important to the way that Liverpool play and our transitions and the way that we build the ball out from the back. He is so important that I just think what he gives you going forward, you know, Matip and Van Dijk will cover for him at the back. And, you know, Salah will often, you know, cover and track back as well. Salah's pretty good at tracking back. So I just think Trent, I can't see Klopp dropping him right now. I really can't. So if you haven't got Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think you really need to consider him out there on his own now, I think, as the most expensive defender in the game now that Robbo's down.
Robbo's taking a price drop.
Absolutely. And I think if you've got Virgil van Dijk, again, it's a don't panic, I think. If you're doubled up in the way that I am with Trent and Van Dijk, yeah, I know Van Dijk got the 7 this week, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be threatening as much from corners as perhaps I would have hoped so far this season. So what you've got to ask yourself is 6.5 for the regular ticking over a six clean sheets, which I know we haven't seen a lot of that so far this season, but it's well documented. My views on Liverpool clean sheets would be conceding sloppy goals, silly mistakes from the goalkeeper. I'm expecting Alisson to be back. I'm expecting us to tighten up at the back. I think the clean sheets are coming. We saw that against Burnley. So I'm really, really reluctant to drop Virgil van Dijk ahead of Newcastle at home. But I might need to do it to free up some money for the rest of my team. I might need to do it. Talk to me about Salah versus Mane versus Firmino now then, because we've talked about Salah and Mane. I don't want to talk about the row, but talk to me about that dynamic, and in particular, is Bobby Firmino
I love that man.
on the radar? I mean, what a player. The guy is absolutely unreal, right? What a player. I think he's great.
No kind of anything meant by this, but I think he's my favourite player at the moment. I think the kid is just fantastic. He's such a talent. And
FPL option, though?
I don't know, because I've said this before. I feel like
he's a favourite of yours in FPL. You have him every season at some stage.
Yeah, but at Christmas. It comes good at Christmas.
Firmino for Christmas.
Firmino for Christmas. I feel like sometimes with Bobby, he goes on these little spurts, and if you happen to catch it at the beginning of the spurt, you're laughing because it lasts for a couple of weeks, and then he goes back to being the Bobby that assists the assist, and he's the one that's creating all the movement and giving Salah and Mane the space and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like he's the heart of the Liverpool attack. But from an FPL point of view, I worry that it spits and spurts, and I don't know necessarily that I want to risk it when, with the likes of Salah and Mane, they're going to get points every single week.
Well, as Julian Bennett is saying, he loves Bobby, absolutely loves him, but not as an FPL asset, and I think that is the key. And as Zem is saying, he wants to get on that Bobby run as well. You see him getting on that run, you know he's going to start getting points. He's the right,
but it will stop after a few weeks. It doesn't last.
Yeah, I agree, but I still go back to the fact that despite Firmino being a reasonable FPL asset at 9.5, his form only benefits the other two.
Agreed.
It's Salah and Mane that get the points. Now, again, we've seen it. We've flip-flopped again. At home, it seems to be Salah that's getting the points so far this season. Away from home, it seems to be Mane. But Salah was,
got an assist.
Got an assist. Oh, yeah, lucky assist, but still got an assist. Hit the post in the first half. And when Bobby picks that pass up from Ben Mee that went astray, he could stick it left to Mane, he could stick it right to Salah. It actually doesn't matter.
No.
I think both probably would have scored. He just opted to give it to Mane. Now, in the rest of that game, I don't think Mane looked as threatening as Salah. I think Salah got in and amongst the areas in a bit of a better way.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Mane probably should have had another goal if Salah squares it to him when he should do. So I think what I'm trying to say throughout all that ramble is, as I've always said, just go with one and stick with it.
So here's a question then, Mr. Wildcard.
Yeah, I know what you're going to ask.
Where are you going?
No, I'm sticking with Salah. Because I think you've got the penalties as well. There are going to be extra penalties, and I think that and
it's
the fact that
he's this year as well.
It's $1 million, yeah.
But it's only $1 million. It's not 3 like it was last year. Or however many.
Yeah, sure. And I think for me, the fact that Salah is selfish, and he is, no doubt about it. He is selfish. He wants those goals. That's good for us as FPL managers, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's good for us. You want him to score goals, right? So,
yeah.
And if you're on the Barnes train, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't have expected him to do, hat tricks against Virgil van Dijk. I wasn't expecting Burnley to get too many goals, although thought they might score. But Barnes, I think, embarks now upon a very, very nice run of fixtures. Burnley's fixtures completely turn from game week 5. So, don't go to. Oh goodness me, don't go to fantasy draft. That was very last year. We played that last year. Good game, but we don't play that yet. So if you've got Barnes, stick with him, I think. Stick with him. Quick word about the Haller helicopter. Haller looking very, very good. Yarmolenko coming back as well in his first full start, maybe second full start. Got the goal. Thoughts about West Ham and thoughts about the Pukki Party abruptly stopping at the London Stadium. I don't think we should panic on Pukki, should we? No. Actually, Cantwell missed a couple of chances.
Yeah, did, yeah.
Headed from a couple of yards out onto the bar.
I saw this game being high scoring from both sides. That's why I benched Diop, who got 8 on my bench, annoyingly.
Bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually West Ham have looked... Everything I've seen from West Ham this year has looked positive. It's why I've been so Lanzini focused so far this season, because I've watched West Ham a few times now, and even when they got hammered by Man City at the beginning in the first game week, there were certain aspects of that West Ham game that made me go, there's something about this team this year. And when we saw them at the beginning of last season, when Felipe Anderson and Yarmolenko and Lanzini had their little partnership going before Yarmolenko's injury, they looked really promising as FPL assets.
Sure.
And I feel like that's continued into this season, particularly now that Yarmolenko's back. And I
you like the look of Haller, though?
Yeah, I feel like Haller's added a new dimension to that. Rather than being a little triangle of them now, it's like a little square.
There's a focal point now for their attack. Yeah.
There's a ball in, and I feel like Haller is potentially one of the most selfish players I've ever seen. He just hangs about in the right places, and from an FPL point of view, what more could you want than a guy that's just going to stand there and wait for the ball to come to him?
I like him. I'll be honest, I really like him, and I don't know how I'm going to get him on my wildcard, if I'm going to get him on my wildcard.
Unless you Barnes out.
Right now I'm on Barnes, Pukki and Wickham, and I still think burning that third slot is just about the right thing to do. Barnes has got nice fixtures and Pukki's Pukki. Well, I'm not panicking on Pukki yet. But Haller does look very, very nice indeed, and he looks like a very, very classy player, as he's saying. And you're right, he's got all of that creativity, right? Yeah.
I really like West Ham as an attacking force. I'm fully on board with it.
Should have had a penalty as well. Again, another VAR nonsense where he gets brought down. I mean, that's a penalty, isn't it?
Well,
that's a penalty.
I mean,
it is.
I'm thinking about applying for a job at Stockley Park. Yeah. What's going on? I don't know.
Okay.
Strange.
Okay.
But I like West Ham, and I think if you want to get on a West Ham asset, I would.
And Norwich, we're not panicking?
No. I'm sticking
Man
with
City next, though, so maybe bench them, but...
I'll still play Pukki. They've not got Laporte, so I'm going to play Pukki.
Okay,
I'll probably bench Cantwell, and that'll backfire massively. A score hat-trick.
Another assist for Digne today. So Digne, absolutely the one to pick over Coleman if you went Digne at the beginning of the season. Looks very, very good indeed. And looks great in the League Cup as well. There was a League Cup game while we were away, wasn't there? In Everton.
Lovely goal.
Very nice goal. And I think an assist as well.
Would have got 3
in that
backs
game.
if that was an
FPL game, would have looked great. An assist. So again, Digne, despite conceding 2 goals and getting no clean sheet and getting 0 clean sheet points, gets an assist out of nowhere for the final goal for Richarlison from a sort of a looping cross. So I do think
that's what we love about Digne, though, isn't it? He's getting nothing. He's literally
and all of a sudden he gets
nothing.
4 or 5.
And he just pop up with an assist or a goal.
Yeah, that's nice.
Exactly why you have Digne.
I think he's good. Richarlison, a favourite of mine at the beginning of last season, but quickly became
a troll.
Is he back on form? Should we be looking at Richarlison? One decent game doesn't make an FPL. I was very, very keen on either him or Sigurdsson. I noted Sigurdsson got the assist, one of the assists as well today. So some points for his owners, finally, in FPL. So well done if you stuck with him. Of all of them, I actually think Iwobi looks super cheap. at that price, and I think he's going to get starts for Everton. And I like Moise Ken as well, the forward. I think he, in a sort of Haller-esque way, is that focal point again now, and looks pretty good in that Everton side. But very young, will take time to get up to the pace of the Premier League.
And I think, for me, watching that game today, he made Sigurdsson a better option from an FPL point of view.
Could be right.
I've not really rated Siggy so far this season from an FPL point of view. I've not really seen enough from him that would warrant the price tag that he has. But in this game today, with Keane playing, I felt like there was somebody there for Siggy to be playing off, and Richarlison too. And I just think they looked better today.
Okay. All right. That's enough about the games. We need to move on, Sam, because we're already at the top of the hour. Let's talk about our August Manager of the Month update. Let's see who is the August Manager of the Month. So Marlon Moore is the August Manager of the Month via our Patreon, and will win a prize of his choice. So you can see some of the prizes there from our sponsor, kickingtheballs.com. The link is in the description below if you want to go and check out their website. All sorts of really cool signed memorabilia on there, signed football boots, signed shirts, signed all sorts of stuff. So have a look at kickingtheballs with 2 S's.com. Check out their website. Really, really good stuff. And Marlon wins either a replica shirt, a Premier League replica shirt of his choice, or the choice of some signed memorabilia from Kicking the Balls. So Marlon, we know where you are. We know where you know where we are. Let's get in touch. Let's organise that, because also Marlon, don't forget, let's not forget, wins if he wants to.
Come and talk to us.
To come and talk to us, so that he is on the FPL show this time.
Oh, I hope he wants to.
Next week. I hope he wants to.
I love it when they want to talk to us.
We haven't had one yet that doesn't want to, but it's absolutely fine if you don't. It is not obligatory. It's not compulsory.
If I ever win it, I don't want to talk to you.
Okay, no problem at all. That's no problem at all. So Marlon is this month's winner. Congratulations to Marlon. Unlucky to James, to Gareth, to you,
me,
and to Matthew. You were fourth. Very, very good start to the
blows your mind,
season,
doesn't it?
So Gareth and James unlucky, and Matthew unlucky too. To be honest, Marlon was holding a pretty decent lead, I think, going into this game week. So as long as he had a solid game week, he was going to, I think, come out on top. And he did indeed come out on top. So Marlon, well done. If you are in, comment in the live chat and say congratulations to yourself. Or
take the congratulations that I'm sure are appearing in the live chat.
Congratulations, yes, absolutely. So Marlon, congratulations. He is our August Manager of the Month for this month. Now, if you are one of our patrons, if you support us on Patreon, the code for September is on Patreon. So if you are a Manager of the Month tier patron at $5 or more, you can go and unlock that post and get the mini league code for September's league. Now, September, Sam, is only 3 game weeks. It's 5, 6 and 7. It's only 3 game weeks. So anything can happen. The scores are reset to 0. If you had a terrible month in August, and you are way down the overall ranks, don't worry, the score is reset to August, and over 3 game weeks, whoever does the best in game weeks 5, 6 and 7, they will get the prize for September. So wherever you are...
you got a chance this
Josh
week.
Has got a chance. I got a chance. Jeff's got a chance. We've all got chances because the score is reset to 0. So guys, get over to Patreon. All the links in the description are in the below, in the comments. Head over there. If you want to come and support us, we'd love you to do that. And you can get involved with our September Manager of the Month. And of course, the prizes will be the same. It will be more signed memorabilia from kickingtheballs.com. And you go check out their website. Loads of good stuff. As you can see, they're signed shirts, signed, what do we call those kind of road signs there with signed memorabilia and some signed football boots and stuff. Really, really good stuff. So head over to patreon.com/FPL Family to check us out over there. So there we go. Well done and congratulations to Marlon. Further congratulations and well done to you, Sam, and your team this game week. 72 points this game week with an overall rank now of 19k, inside the top 20k. An absolutely storming start to this season. Talk us through your team this week.
Everybody that I spent my money on performed, and you can't ask for more than that, can you? Goal from Kane. Assist from Salah, KDB obviously being an absolute legend. Goal for, an assist from Trent with the Baps as well. Digne popping up when I didn't think he was getting anything. Even Zinchenko kept his clean sheet. It could have been a lot better because I genuinely...
Diop on the bench is just unlucky, isn't it?
Well, I just didn't see a West Ham clean sheet. That's why I played double Norwich. I thought Heaton was going to get 10 at one point, which would have just been...
Don't even go there. I was literally sitting there praying for the Villa clean sheet. And when Palace scored, bloody Jordan Ayew, he's rubbish. Oh, goodness sake.
At one point I thought, and I was looking at that.
Cost us 7, that. That was 7 points there for Heaton.
I think at one stage today my overall rank was at 12k. Because Kane had bonus points and that had sent me back up again. But I am really pleased because I feel like this season I finally got it right. Like this whole taking a bit of a hit with game week 1, knowing that you're prepped for
historically
game weeks
you're a bit of a slow starter, so to be up in the top 20k going into international break is sensational in a frankly a season, Sam, where a lot of the experienced FPL managers on Twitter that I talk to regularly, it's a tough season so far. There's a lot of options and a lot of difficult game weeks.
I'm top of the streamers and bloggers league.
Of course you are. No, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
So I feel like it's been positive so far. No need to panic. No need for a wild card. Sorry, the cat's just jumped in a box. So I'm going to be holding my wild card, enjoying international break, hoping no one gets injured, and carrying on.
Okay. Without wanting to push you on anything, going into game week 5, anybody in there that you think, oh, he's got to go?
King. He's going to be King.
Josh King is, I was just thinking about Josh King, thinking
there's too many others that are performing in that
potentially
category.
He could go.
Yeah, Josh King's going to be
Any thoughts on who you might replace him with?
I'd like to get to Tamara Abraham. I don't think I've got quite enough money to do that.
You got to get your 0.5 from somewhere.
I've got some in the bank, but not a lot in the bank. Don't think it's enough. So I'd have to do a little bit of jiggery pokery with the rest of my team to get there. But there's the likes of Barnes and other people that are in the same sort of price bracket as Josh King that are performing better. So I just need to have a little think about it over international break and enjoy the luxury of knowing that he's going to be the casualty. It's just who comes in for him.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's have a look at my team then. It's not quite such a good tale this week, guys. 46 points, overall rank of 618k, which is a little bit average, to be honest with you. It's been very up and down. The first 4 game weeks have been really, really tough. I've found it very difficult to get the captaincy right. I feel like my captaincy, I'm getting the wrong captain week in, week out.
That was me last year.
And I also feel like there's a lot of options. There are a lot of options in FPL this year. And I feel like I'm hitting some of them and not hitting some of them. I'm very, very pleased that I've had Trent since game week 1. I mean, he's been a shining light for me so far this season. I remember watching the Charity Shield and thinking, oh, he's going to potentially rotate with Gomez and I should go Robbo and blah, blah, blah. Very pleased that I stuck with Trent. I mean, that's one of the better decisions I've made. Outside of that, I feel like I've got a team here that's looks all right on paper. If you look at how they set up for game week 5, it doesn't look too bad. But now Lucas Moura is a big problem in the middle of that park there. A big problem because he's going to start losing minutes, I think. Martial as well. I know he's injured. I'm expecting him to come back for game week 5, but I've got a bit of an issue around Manchester United. I wish I'd have gone Lundstrom over Rico, for example, at the beginning of the season, because that's kind of forcing me to do a transfer there. Whereas when they were both 4.0, it was just, who do I pick? And of course, Coleman is doing nowhere near. He's nowhere near as attacking as Digne. No. And that Everton game today, I noticed when Everton attack, their shape changes completely. Yeah. Coleman kind of comes over and they go 3 at the back, and Digne basically becomes a midfielder. Mm-hmm. And then without the ball, they switch to the 4 again. But with the ball, Digne goes and Coleman comes in. So Coleman is not bombing on that side. Instead, they look to get the ball to Sigurdsson. Yeah. And Sigurdsson plays the balls in from the right. Whereas on the left, they look to get the ball to Digne. And Richarlison makes those runs in behind. So I think Digne is the one to have. In fact, I know he's the one to have. So that worries me that I don't have him. Zinchenko also on the back of my mind, I think is an issue because just foresee Mendy potentially coming back. So do I hit the wild card, guys? I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen because I'm too worried not having KDB, to be honest. I'm too worried not having him. I did like the look of Pepe today, although that would be an audacious punt to get him in. If I was going to go for Arsenal, I think I'd want to go safe and go Aubameyang, which I could do clearly on a wild card. But then where do you get that money from, right? So maybe Lacazette, maybe, I don't know. But listen, I think we know a lot more now at the end of game week 4 than we did at the beginning of the season. We know where the value is. We know Cantwell and Lundstrom are good value. We know that McGinn's good value. We know that Digne is the one to have, not Coleman, right? Yep. We know that Trent's the one to have, not Robbo. So
you still have only having one keeper?
That might change as well. That might change. But I think, Heaton and Villa have got some pretty nice fixtures coming up. So I think he's probably okay for now. It might change. But, we didn't know who that We didn't know who the Chelsea forward was going to be. Now we know it's Abraham. We think we didn't know who was going to be in that sort of role behind him. Well, we think it's Mount, right? So we've got all of these, all of this knowledge and data that we didn't have on game week 0. So
Agreed.
I feel like now would be an okay time to play the wild card. I just look at my team on paper for game week 5 and think it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look like it needs a wild card.
I feel like international break is always a nice time for a wild card because you have that extra time to think and to play and to tinker.
Yeah.
And I'll still look to do mine in the second international break. It'll just be a birthday wild card rather than a.
And the guys are saying Frank Verlinden, Moura and Martial to KDB and Ceballos. If I wasn't going to wild card,
that's
where I'd go.
Yeah.
It would be losing Moura and Martial, reluctantly Martial, because I think he will come back and play well for United. But Moura is a problem. I want to upgrade Moura to KDB, no doubt. And the only way I'm going to do that is to take money out of either Martial or Van Dijk.
Yeah.
So I've got to decide which one of those two I go with. So listen, lots to be discussed about the wildcard. A very, very, not even an average, a pretty below average game week for me in game week 4. Overall rank of 618. So it's not terrible. But it definitely needs to improve.
It's unlucky though because, like you say, you look at that team and there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Like it is unlucky that it's ended up the way it has because so many of those, like you wouldn't have seen a Sterling blank in that game at all in any part of it. So many of those players today or yesterday that could have performed, Pukki for example, Barnes, all have been getting points really regularly over the course of the season. So it could have been very different that game with that team.
Yeah, absolutely. But never mind, there it is, 46 points, pretty average. Let's go back to the questions because we had a really nice question about playing the wildcard actually from Neil. So let's go to the polls, guys. If you haven't answered the polls yet, little white eye, top right-hand corner, go in there and answer the questions. Sam, wildcard active, yes or no, or already played it? So I think it's no for you, right? You're quite happy to stick. 45% of the community going with no, 36% already played it and 17% saying yes. That's actually a bigger percentage than I thought, saying they've already played it. So over a third of you
that's a lot.
Already done, and of the remaining 2/3, most of you are saying no, probably not the right time to play it.
Interesting.
Best Laporte replacements, I've put Otamendi, Virgil van Dijk, Digne, an upgrade to Trent or a downgrade to 4.5.
Digne for me, I really like.
Digne,
because I'm assuming that everyone's already got a Liverpool defender.
Yeah, okay,
so that's why I'd go Digne.
Well, 31% are saying upgrade to Trent. Digne is the best of the rest on 23%. Downgrade to a 4.5 at 18%. And of the 4.5s, is there any that are catching your eye? I like Seung Chu, if that's how you say his name, for Leicester, the centre half.
I wasn't going to even attempt to pronounce that because you know what I'm like. Whose name was it I butchered earlier? And you said, it was when we were in the car and you asked for team news and I called him Vinegar.
Oh, God. I can't believe somebody with an inside 20k overall rank is still calling the Wolves fullback Vinegar.
That's his name. Vinegar.
Vinegar. Right. So Digne in at 23%, Van Dijk in at 15%.
I still like Lundstrom, of course.
Otamendi at 11%. And of course, if you want to go Laporte to Lundstrom and free up an absolute ton of cash, that is not a bad idea at all. Tammy Abraham in, Sam, yes or no? I could see that.
Yes, I'm really in it.
I can see that you're feeling that. You're in the minority. 70% saying no, 30% saying yes. But listen, if everything you touch turns to gold right now, so if you're getting Tammy, get on it. Mid-priced mids. This was a question that came in from FPL Noob. You simply wanted to know who you'd pick out of Mount, Tielemans, and Iwobi.
I
think I'd go Mount out of those.
I'd go Mount. Of those
72% going Mount, 18% Iwobi, only 8% for Tielemans, despite the decent performance from Leicester. Leicester seem to be getting their act together. I don't know.
They do.
One of the ones to watch, I think. Maybe not Tielemans, but Vardy.
I think it's Vardy. If you want to get on Leicester, I think it's Vardy.
I think so. So there we are, guys. That is FPL Family for another Sunday. Let's go back to our Twitter. Here is the Twitter. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been very, very up and down first 4 game weeks for me. Very good 4 game weeks for you. But I think if you look generally around the Twitter community, there isn't any trends. I haven't seen loads of managers going, I'm doing brilliantly well. Haven't seen loads of managers saying I'm doing terribly. I think it's a very, very wide spread at the moment because I don't think there is really much of a template
Not yet.
coming together. Not yet. There are 1 or 2. I think we know where the value is now. But I still think it's a very hard call to say whether you should go Kane, Aguero or Aubameyang. It's very difficult to say Salah or Mane. It's very difficult still to say KDB or Sterling or both. Who do I have from Arsenal? Do I get somebody from Burnley because of the fixture? So there's still, guys, Lots and lots of unanswered questions. Who is your player of FPL so far? First 4 game weeks, who would you say is numero uno right now?
KDB.
KDB, your player of the first. I would agree. I'd say Pukki though. I think Pukki, despite game week 4.
Oh, but I thought you were talking about for my team personally.
Oh, for your team. Okay, for your team, KDB.
Overall, I think it's Pukki. I think you can't knock what that guy has done coming into the Premier League. But for my team, it's KDB. He's been absolutely unbelievable.
Absolutely sensational. I think between those two, that should have been one of the poll questions about that in the poll, shouldn't we? Who's your player of the year so far? I think KDB looks absolutely sensational, doesn't he? And Pukki has been brilliant as well, despite the blank in game week 4. Do not leave the Pukki party. I think
it rolls on.
The Pukki party will continue in game week 5's Man City. Game week 6, the Pukki party.
I mean, they've not got Laporte. There's no reason Pukki can't score against Man City.
You're backing him, eh? You're backing him. All right, well,
I'm playing him.
On that bombshell that Sam is playing Pukki in game week 5 against Man City.
I might captain him.
We will see you this time next week. We will do a bit of a game week 5 preview video next Sunday at 8 p.m.
Done one of them for ages,
haven't done a preview video for a while. It's because we're busy during the weeks now, doing FPL shows and all that sort of stuff. But we will do a preview video for game week 5 this time next week, guys. I'm pretty sure the wildcard button is getting pushed. Pretty sure it will. So I will give you an update on how that's going this time next week.
Will you tell me if you push it, or is it going to be another one of those secrets?
Sam. I will tell you. You are so far ahead of me already this season. My name is engraved on that wooden spoon.
No, don't be daft.
I'm only aspiring to be where you are.
Got 34 weeks to go. Can't be that bad.
It's already dead and buried this season. It's already dead and buried.
I like this. You're just throwing it in now, just so that if you don't catch up. But when you do, you'll be able to go, I feel
like Roy Hodgson. I'm getting my excuses in early.
That's exactly what's happening.
Have you noticed, if pre-season Hodgson was just like, oh, we've not signed anybody,
we're
rubbish.
Is that what you're
now
saying?
All of a sudden they've got a couple of results. Hodgson is starting to...
You're the Palace of FPL.
I am the Palace of FPL Family. You are the Man City. I am the Palace. Guys, good night. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you this time next week. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new around here and hit that notify bell. Leave us a like before you go at FPL Family on Twitter and Instagram. We will see you very, very soon. Cheers, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye.